Nothing is a louder gunshot for you to run than hearing the phrase love and light from spiritual cripples. If you hear this asinine catchphrase babbled ad nauseum by retired bean counters who just learned how to collect pretty rocks and move their fingers around like an idiot from spending too much time on Instagram stalking the younger, prettier crowd whose skin they would like to wear in some creepy horror movie kind of way, get the absolute fuck away from them. They neither bring love nor do they even have a glimmer of light. People who use this phrase are essentially attempting to bombard you with a poor sales pitch for their own personal cult that may or may not be a Frankenstein monster cult patched together from the dead body parts of others. I mean, think about it for a second. If someone were to truly be living in such a manner that is prescribed by love and light, what could possibly be compelling them to announce that verbally at the drop of a hat, to anyone, anywhere, all the time? Who are these people in the cult of love and light trying to convince? Themselves or those who they would prey upon, hoping that with the honey of regurgitated catchphrases, they can lure a few flies into the dismal abyss of their delusions of divinity? 2 Corinthians says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works." Roughly translated, what the good book is illuminating for us, the reader, is that everything wicked that wishes to whittle away at our lives in a malformed, toxic, deceitful, and predatory way will no doubt present itself as harbingers of the divine, wearing the cloak of sheep with some sort of touchy-feely, disarming lingo or persona that fools the weak of mind into believing these ravenous wolves are on the same team. They are not. They most certainly are not on the same team as you when they feel on some subconscious level that tooting the horn of love and light from their mouth while the dark, empty void of nothingness stares back at you from the eyes of a mere reptilian-minded husk of a person is a reasonable way to interact with the world. It smacks of the ATF or FBI blasting the phrase, "You are not under attack," from loudspeakers as they raid your home or knock it to the ground with tanks and set you and everyone you love on fire. Ask the Branch Davidians if their executioners were honest in their advertisement before being snuffed out with a merciless onslaught while hearing those words. The cult of love and light is essentially where quasi-reformed hippies go to wither and die. They've lived a life of riotousness with trails of bodies behind them, victims of their poor decisions and ill-advised reactions to traumas, which they blamed on everyone else, but most certainly not themselves. Then, when the rot of who they truly are at their core becomes more manifest, they scurry into the demographic of light workers or born-againers, essentially. They try to recreate themselves as some new, reformed, penitent butterfly that can be birthed from a cocoon of excrement and no longer accountable to the law of karma, as if that sexy bitch isn't going to come a-knocking in due time. Just as the book of Corinthians says, when she does, those toting the cult of love and light's virtue signaling flag will be judged without grace, but according to their works. Joining this cult of ironic delusion is a pretty good indicator that the lifetime of antipsychotic, antidepressants, and boxed wines have worn off and are no longer numbing what conscience they might have left from attempting to bury deep the pile of skeletons picked clean in their wake. Don't take my word for it. Take a spin on the internets with the keywords love and light in whichever engine of searching you please. Spend a few hours trudging the swamp of that spiritual, intellectual, emotional nothingness. Then ask yourself what you gain by hearing charlatans repeat each other in an echo chamber of psychosis with a few common phrases linked together. How did you evolve? How did you heal? How were you changed for the better by getting on the treadmill of Beelzebub's basement with pie-in-the-sky deadlines, energy shifts, channeled messages from fruitcakes who've been given cameras and butterwood and melt in their mouth talking points to revert to when the thin veneer of their act is scratched and the truth of their rot is exposed? Anyone who has had authentic, genuine progress on the spiritual path will share a smirk with us when the love and light gimmick is pulled out for the purpose of pretending to be some guru. Sorry, you're not the one we've all been waiting for. Do not pass go. Do not get a get out of reincarnation free card. In layman's terms, when it comes to any contact with the divine in this lifetime, you might be screwed. Only the government thinks it's wise to pass a student on a test they didn't study or do the work to ace and let them slide on to the next grade. Another thing to be cynical about with the cult of love and light is their complete lopsided way of looking at the magnificent balance in the Uberverse. For with the insistence that creation's ultimate game is balance, they sure don't want to bring up the darkness which facilitates their existence to begin with. From the darkness of the womb we emerged, and most are attempting to make their way back into the allegorical dark mother that cradles all of existence and the life found within it. The bright, shining light that pierces our eyes in a journey of the flesh is usually followed by being yanked, spanked, snipped, and jabbed before being assigned a corporate bill of sale to a Nemo with a social security number as a convenient for the Catholic Church accessory. That is to say, the destination of divinity, when properly sought, is more likely than not as far away from love and light as you can get when you look at it like every ancient culture has before the prophecy of Andy Warhol turned out to be spot on. Whatever God or divinity is, certainly a totality of dark and light is required to intimately know it. It makes you wonder what the cult of love and light are trying to blind you from in the darkness of what they truly are, the monstrous recesses of their ego no amount of therapy will ever allow them to reach. But again, that's the purpose of the threshing floor, is it not? To consume the false ministers of the cult of love and light, once the gavel comes down in a blazing inferno or some such thing. To close, there is no need to point any of this out to the profane that purport to be all lovey-dovey and whitey-lighty all the time, or at least when someone's watching. It would be as pointless as announcing someone on crutches as clearly handicapped when the evidence of that is open for all to see. Just smirk, pat them on the head, and chuckle when they waddle off on the crutch of love and the crutch of light. The cult of love and light is a collapsing black hole of nothing in the realms of true spiritual seekers. It swirls to eat up souls in an effort to validate itself, but at its core there is no light at all. The dead men's tombs in the days of the Pharisees have nothing on the lifeless blabbermouths of the cult of love and light in ours. Remember, my spiritual cohorts, the sacred words of the woo when walking samsara. Protect your neck. Zen in the car, for the spiritually minded liberty activist on the go. Liketh, shareth, subscribeth. It's what the cool kids do. You are so awesome for enjoying this goodness from zeninthecar.com. Make sure that you subscribe to our website on your smart device by clicking the 3 buttons here and adding it to your home screen so you never miss any of this phenomenal art that we provide for you. Stay well.